So I was chatting with a client today, and it was a newer client. We were talking about thyroid, and this is something that they're dealing with. And I have a lot of clients actually looking back, and even currently looking at, that have thyroid dysfunction on some level. And one change that I've made to almost all of my thyroid um, clients is the time in which they take their thyroid medication. And this has made a pretty big impact on how the medication works for them and how much of it they actually feel, lifestyle, behaviors, habits, all that good stuff. So let me start with the thyroid is a really, it can be a really hard to manage hormone, because when your thyroid goes out, we feel a whirlwind of side effects from that. And we may not always know it's coming from the thyroid. And they're pretty detrimental to how we just feel on a daily basis. You know, no energy, brain fog, sleep is bad, metabolism, weight gain, you name it. I mean, there's so many things that come from a dysfunctional thyroid. And typically, when you're put on thyroid medication, you're going to be told to take it in the morning on an empty stomach about an hour prior to eating. And the reason for this is because any food in the system is going to slow down absorption or just make the absorption less. Along with, in the morning, cortisol levels, while they do peak in the morning, what they're referring to is they're not very high. So we can take this thyroid medication and get a decent amount of absorption from it at these times. Now, I say decent because as a whole, thyroid medication only has about a 70% uptake value, which means when you're taking your thyroid medication, you're only on the most perfect circumstances in the world, you're only going to get about 70% of that on a daily basis. Now, if you have any food in the system, if your cortisol levels are high, if you have, poor GI tract, then that absorption is going to come down pretty significantly. And when we're already at 70, coming down from there is going to make a pretty significant impact. So a lot of times what I do is reverse that. And I'm having some of my clients, most of my clients actually, not taking their thyroid medication in the morning, but suggesting that they take it at nighttime. And the reason for that is the cortisol levels in our body are going to be much lower at night, so we're going to get less interference there. Our gut motility is going to slow down at night, which means that because it's slower, this medication isn't going to be pushed through the system quickly. It's going to have time to sit there and time for the body to absorb it. So more time of it in the system. Unlike in the morning when we take it, our gut motility is actually a lot faster. It's going to push it through our system faster. It's one of the reasons why we have bowel movements in the morning. And we don't have them typically, in the middle of the night. We don't wake up to have a bowel movement, because that slows down so we can sleep. And our sleep isn't being interfered by with things like that. So taking your thyroid medication at night can significantly help. On top of the fact that typically when people are diagnosed with thyroid medication, with thyroid dysfunction and need thyroid medication, stress levels are already really high because they've been dealing with all the symptoms of thyroid for God knows how long. Gut motility is usually, and actually the GI tract is usually pretty offset into the negatives at that point also, because the thyroid's, one of its functions, among many functions, is the health of your GI tract. And so in many different ways. So when your thyroid starts to go down, the health of the GI tract goes down, which means absorption is going to go down because of what you're already experiencing. So for those of you guys who are taking thyroid medications and you're taking it in the morning and you just don't feel like it's doing what it should, always talk to your doctor first, get their recommendation, but taking it at night could be the answer to you actually feeling this medication start working for you and improving your daily life. Guys, I hope this helps out. If you have more questions about the thyroid, definitely leave them in the comments. I want to know about them. I want to answer for you. Other than that, y'all have